In today's video, this is an interview with Kathryn Quella, her experience with ayahuasca. It opens the heart of darkness. Some say the dragon of the jungle. Meet Kathryn. Recently, she signed up through Luna Wolf Sanctuary here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to experience the transformative healing medicine that ayahuasca offers. In this video, she shares her journey with meeting grandmother. In this candid video, she shares how she prepared for this experience and how it has changed her life. She walks us through her thought process throughout the before and after. Why she chose to do this alone. Her ghost box sessions to ask Spirit if it was safe for her to enter into an experience like this and what to expect. Our friend Michelle shares her encounter with having a telepathic experience during Kathryn's ayahuasca session. It's very interesting. Kathryn's video journey, the before and after. If you're interested in learning more about Luna Wolf, please visit their website, lunawolf.org. Luna Wolf Sanctuary is a nonprofit plant medicine community rooted in tradition and supported by a diverse team.
So I go to the open house with my friend Lisa, who's part of my paranormal team. We all have a team called Hauntings Paranormal Investigation Group. Hauntings Investigative Paranormal, whatever. Shit. Not shit. And it comprises of a team of female investigators. And being that I have spoken to the dead since a little girl, I see lights, shadows. I've seen full-bodied apparitions. I've seen demonic. I mostly am very gifted as well doing astral traveling. So I've been to the astral planes many times, countless times. I've met Earth people who are pretty famous on Earth, including JFK, Joseph Campbell, just to name a few. Family members, and then some pretty higher up spirit guides. So I thought I kind of, like, this was my groove to do ayahuasca. Okay, I felt confident I was going to be able to navigate the astral realms very well. So I went in a little glib, and I think that was really, I felt like I wasn't humble, right? I can't explain it. I really kind of felt like I knew what I was doing, and that I did myself a disservice. So if you are a psychic medium and you think you know shit, you don't know shit. And I walked away literally saying, I don't know anything when it comes down to this stuff. It humbled me to such a point, but also just this sense of wonderment about there's so much I just don't know, and just on respect. So we go to this open house. We meet Stephen. His background, he's been to Peru. He's trained under master shamans. I think he said he was an EMT and maybe even a police officer, and he was just kind of anxiety, depression. That's his story. He can tell you, but he said he took his first ayahuasca ceremony and just this whole new world opened up to him. And he ate better, and he connected with people better, and he wanted to train under these shamans. And so during that meeting, I was telling Lisa, I don't feel grounded here. There's spirits. There were spirits everywhere in that room. Everywhere. I mean, they were touching me, bugging me. They made me feel not well. It was weird. I was like, oh, is this really where we're going to have a ceremony? Because it's just, there's so many spirits here that I don't know how I'm going to make it through it. They're bugging me this much now, and I'm stone sober. What is it going to be like when I'm on this plant medicine? And so then I right away dove in. And to dive into the Luna Wolf Sanctuary is to fill out very lengthy medical, psychological questionnaire, and then you have to have a Zoom call and interview with them, and then set up the date that you want to partake of the medicine. There is a DITA required. The DITA is essentially what you need to do to prepare for this powerful medicine. And again, like I felt glib. It's weird. I just was like, I deal with the spirit world all the time. I don't know if I really need to stick to some of these requirements, like no sex. And I thought, that's where a lot of my Scorpio stuff comes from, is more dealing with sexual energies and sensual energies. It even goes beyond sex. It's hard to describe, but I was like, if anybody knows about, the energies that lie within those realms, it's me, I'm fine. And you're not even supposed to masturbate. And I just thought that was a little overkill. But as I learned during Ayahuasca ceremony, there's a big reason for that, and I'll get into that later. So I kind of loosely stuck to the diet, but I wasn't strict about it. And so the day of, I got there, I arrived, and I hadn't eaten for about a day and a half. And I drank a lot of water. And they go into prayers. And you take flowers, and then you put intentions and blessings and stuff in the flowers, and then they crush the flowers up over a big pot of water, and that goes in, and then later they put it on your head, pour it on your head into your hands, and then you do like that, and there's, a lot of the shaman, Stephen and Alex, they're doing the blessings and all of that, and now I know that's very valuable stuff. Okay, I've worked with Ojibwe, Inuit. I know that this is very important to do this up for protection. And so that's not weird to me at all. Like, this is like, yeah, do it again, do more. For me, I'm like, I know what lies in those realms. So I'm like, this is so important. And I brought a lot of my own stuff. I brought a ceremonial, rattle to make sure to shake the spirits away off my aura. And I brought my own tobacco. I brought sage. I brought sweetgrass. I even brought 3 little bonsai trees to connect with. So I felt Mother was there with me, the energy of Mother Earth in the room. It was very important for me to ground out in these plants. And so then they say you have to do this stuff, this Amazonian mixture that has like a form of tobacco in it that they shoot, like blow up your nose in like a little pipe thing. And it's called Happy. And I was like, okay, does this hurt? And how bad is it going to hurt? Breathe through the pain. The shaman Alex, there's an energy to this guy right away. It was caretaking, right? And so he he blessed the medicine, put it on my third eye, put it on my heart chakra, and then kind of, are you ready? And now breathe. Don't breathe through your nose, breathe through your mouth. Like that, And he blew it up my one nostril, and oh my God. It was like I'd been maced. And I'm like, and he's like, And it dissipates pretty quickly. But man, it felt like dragon fire through my face, right? And I'm doing, And then I look at him straight in the eye, and I said, do I have to do the other nostril? And he just leans forward and he looks me so deep in my eyes and lovingly, and he touches his heart chakra. He kind of bends his head like this, and he looks and he goes, like that. And it was so reassuring. It was just so reassuring the way that, and in that moment I knew what he was also saying was, he's in it with me. He's there with me spiritually. This very deep connection, and to trust in the process and the medicine. Okay? And so the first time in my right nostril, I felt the medicine move, and it actually, like, my kidneys hurt really bad suddenly, which was odd. And I've been told by Reiki masters before that because I hang on to so many things that don't serve me, that I have so many attachments energetically in my kidneys. And it was just fast. It was like, just real, like, just like, my kidneys. And I do have trouble with my kidneys. I'll get kidney infections and weird stuff like that. It is because I hang on to things that make me sad and think about it. Or bad relationships or whatever. And so then, the next one happened, and weirdly, it wasn't as bad. I mean, it hurt as bad, but I can't explain. It's like childbirth. The first time you have a kid, it's like you think you just like, I can't even take this. I'm gonna die. And then the second kid you have, you're kind of more relaxed into the pain. You know what to expect. You know you're not gonna die, and you accept it. And I feel like that's why it's important to have done this. It's an initiation into the medicine, right? It's doing a lot of things for your bodies, and also spiritually. But another important thing is this initiation and understanding that it is temporary, and it will be over. And, you have to go through the painful parts and sit with yourself. And surrender. It's all about surrendering, and so much of ayahuasca is about surrendering to it. So if you can learn to surrender to the pain, you're going to learn to surrender to the teachings of Grandmother Ayahuasca. And I felt like I got that as the second nostril was being hit. And then I felt that went to my uterus and the traumas that I've had with that. And so it kind of like, it did something. It hurt real quickly, like just, felt so fast, but then it dissipated, and I felt like energetically it had stripped old, dark connections of energetic hooks people had left into me, into these places in my body that, if left unchecked, causes disease. So then, with some music going on and stuff, we are given a talk, and then we go up and we receive our first cup. And it tastes kind of like dirt and sort of acidic. Not too bad, honestly. It's not too bad. And then I went back and sat, and it was pretty, again, I would say my nature was very kind of glib. I keep going back to that word. I don't know why, but, I just felt like, I've got this. And I started to have visions. I was touching my plants. I was talking to them. I was like, I love you guys. Oh, and by the way, I'd given them a tiny bit of water that I still had saliva and ayahuasca in my saliva after drinking my cup. So it kind of browned the water a little bit, and I gave it to my plants. I gave it to my bonsai because I wanted them to go on this journey with me. And I felt like, we were going to be in the same place, these bonsai trees and I, right? I was going to fill them with so much love and light, and they were going to give me so much love and light back, and they did. I mean, they did, okay? They were there with me. And so I started having visions of them and snakes, and it was beautiful. Ants in the jungle, and, I was just touching them and giving them love, and then so anyway, the visions of the plants, the ants, the vines, the snakes. Um, the snakes were just kind of like writhing, almost like, the double helix of a
Like
DNA.
a kundalini?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, like a
The serpent?
kundalini, and writhing up, and then they kind of like go into morph into each other, and it was just a very pleasant, wonderful vision that I was having, and then I saw like lines of ants and leaves everywhere, and trees and vines, and maybe it was, ayahuasca, I don't know, but I just, it was such a wonderful feeling, and I'm talking to my trees pretty happily at this point, feeling really good, feeling just like this feeling of like love and peace and happiness and joy, and about 45 minutes, maybe an hour passed, I don't know, it feels kind of timeless in this state. He calls if anyone wants a second cup, and I jumped up so fast that I actually kind of was, I was like, I had to be told twice it was like, go wait on your bed. Okay, that's how, like, give me more, and yeah.
So you're laying down?
You're sitting. Well, I was sitting up.
Okay.
And so then when it was my turn to come up to the front of the room to talk to Stephen, who was administering the second cups, he asked how I was doing, and I said I'm doing great. I feel great. It's great. You can give me a lot, and he said, okay, the second cup's gonna kick. And I had trouble getting it down. I felt like I was like, because I had not thrown up at all yet. The second cup was really tough. It was very thick. It was almost chewing the second cup. And I was like, oh, it was so gross. I kept saying, it was so gross. Being a baby. In fact, I was a baby a lot that weekend. It was so gross. And then I got it down and sat down, and I want to say 40 minutes of pretty cool visuals of, beings, spirits, earthbound spirits. I was talking to them, and pretty jovial. Then I started purging. I did not throw up, but I did go to the bathroom, and everything that I've ever consumed and been stuck in my colon or stomach or small intestine came out. Because remember, I hadn't eaten, so I was like, this is all old stuff. It's like ayahuasca was like scrubbing bubbles in the body and just took literally everything that had been stuck in there, and it was coming out. And I was like, oh my God. So then I went and just waited, essentially, and kind of, like feeling music and watching the spirits and talking to them. And there were darker spirits, and there were just earthbound spirits. And I loved watching kind of how they interacted with the shaman. When Stephen would do anything, he would excite them. Either he would excite them to the point where they would have to kind of go back into, go away, or when he would pass, they would want to come back out. So they were very interactive with Stephen. And the people on the beds, they were very interactive with the environment and the people and the shamans, and that was cool. And then Stephen wanted to pass around to do blessings, and this is where it gets fuzzy. I think Alex was with him or slightly behind him. Anyway, he came around and he was giving blessings and singing, these wonderful shaman songs from the rainforest. And I felt he was doing something to me, and I started to get a little freaked out. That was when I started to weird. Because before I was like, oh, you know, pretty glib, pretty happy, pretty, you know, just feeling good. Even though I was seeing, you know, all this stuff, you know, I've seen it and dealt with it, heard it my whole life. I'm just now seeing it really in 3D. What does it matter? You know, that didn't scare me that I could see it so perfectly as I'm seeing, you know, you right now. Okay, that didn't scare me. What scared me was when Stephen came close and he was doing the prayers over me. I felt like he was sending me somewhere. I felt like I was about to go out of body, spontaneously sitting up, go out of body, which I've never done before. I feel slightly out of body at times, a lot in life, but I've never felt like someone was gonna like force me out of body and I'm gonna go to an astral realm. You know, and that was like, so I was fighting it and I was scared because I couldn't. I kept feeling my soul trying to go, and as it, you know, it became more and more and more, I just remember Alex walking up and kind of half kneeling saying, how are you doing? And I grab onto, I think he had a blanket over, so I grab on it and I pull on it and I'm like, oh, and then that's when, boom, I went to a heaven plane. And Alex had his hand on my heart chakra and he came with me. I mean, there's no question that he didn't go with me. And there's no question in my mind that he didn't know that I was doing that. He knew 100% what was happening. And maybe it's unconscious. I don't know, but like there was a symbiotic thing that was happening. And he was there, and I became a boat, and he was the ferryman. And, you know, the gondola, you know, but it was his hand on my heart chakra. And I went to this heavenscape, this place. It was heaven. It was, the sounds were like, the sounds were like crickets or singing frogs, but melodic and overpowering. And there was like there was wind too that was like a beat, and it was music. It was music, and I can see why people go to heaven and they die and they're like, yeah, there's angels singing, because there's music there. And I felt like a boat, but as I was like kind of going down this river of just like energy and color, you understand it's like consciousness. And so I'm going down it, but I'm so curious about everything. So I'm looking at everything, and there's beings that are on the shore of this river that are like these, there's many things, okay? Like some of them I thought they were animals that I had eaten in my lifetime, and they were like filling me with love and forgiveness because I had unconsciously ate them without thinking that they had taken that their life had been taken to sustain my life. There were non-human beings there. There were angels there, and there was God. And God was like this infinite power of light, and that's where the shaman resided. That's where Alex was. He was like in that light of God. Okay, and it was like he and God had merged, and was making sure I was safe. It was allowing me to explore this heaven realm and make sure I got back. Because I think I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. It was like a million soul orgasmic of light and sound and everything. And you knew that these beings there that were so happy and like, you know, like I can't even, they were so happy, and they were like, could create through just thought forms, right? They were just, and you were a part of it. you've never felt, I mean, ever in your life a part of something, and then in that heaven realm you felt like you were just so a part of something, right? Um, and then I heard, in conjunction with this energy of God and the shaman Alex, like, you know, you can't stay here. Let's go. And I was like, yeah, I know. I've got a family. I know I have to go back. Okay, here we go. And it was like a tunnel, a colorful tunnel of energy had opened up. And I you know, and so he was taking his hand away at that time, and I said, you know, sat up, and you hear me on my recorder, because I had a little handheld recorder, go, that guy's a fucking genius. That guy's a fucking genius, okay? Because how did he know that I was going into a heaven realm? How did he know to stay with me to make sure I came back? And, you know, and so after that, it was weird. Like, I mean, I just was in so much awe and pretty freaked out. And there were, again, spirits and energies. I many times had to lift my little tea candle. That's what you do if you need assistance. And one of the gals there that was assisting, all I needed her to do was like hold my hand and ground me out. That's it. I needed to be grounded out, and the plans were no longer. I needed an anchor that was another human being to ground me out, and it, you know, just like 5 seconds of just holding my hand, grounding me out, and tried to do it like probably 6 times. So I kind of like made her work. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I'm probably forgetting a lot of the first night. But I never threw up, and I know they call that when you go to heaven or astral realms, they call that the breakthrough, and everybody wants to get to the point of the breakthrough on ayahuasca. And I can understand, it did immense amount of healing, but also I had this understanding the next day that I really did ayahuasca because I needed to learn not only how to live better, but to die better. And by learning how to die, I can help my mom die, who she's really afraid of dying. And so, although the first night I was like, oh, I will never do this again. I thought it was, you know, I thought I died. I was convinced I died. And I'm like, I'll never do this again. And then, you know, I can't wait to do it the second night. Because I know I need to work on myself. And I just scratched the surface of the work that I need to do. At the same time that all of this was happening, when I started coming to, I had gotten my phone and was able to contact Michelle. When we were all up walking around eating, you know, going to the bathroom, we're no longer on the medicine. I contacted Michelle, who's part of the paranormal group that we're all in, and she had been going through hours and hours. Well, and then Lisa came on too. Lisa came on as well, but Michelle had been going through hours and hours of after I died, or I thought I died and went to heaven. Then it just got really kind of anxious for me, and just this kind of prevailing thought of feeling upset that people live their life not filled with love, not filled with connection or unity, being greedy, being angry, hurting people, and then when they die, they're earthbound. Because their vibration does not match the heaven realm. You can't go to heaven. I mean, it's very simple. it's so simple that I know we make it so much more complicated on Earth. You know, we have religion and we have these like, you gotta do this, you got, and it actually comes down to your vibration needs to match the vibration of love, which is the heaven realm, right? And if you are an angry, greedy, you know, you hurt people vibration, that's the place you're going to go. Your vibration will match that place. So it's so simple, right? And I felt sad for how many spirits intuitively know that, God, if I move on, I'm probably not going to go to a heaven realm. I'm going to go to a darker, lower astral realm, and so I'll just stay earthbound. And so they are, in effect, people that are in our world, but have no, you know, they can't make love. They can't eat a cheeseburger. You know, and how sad that was for me. It really bothered me, and I had a lot of anxiety, and Michelle was picking up on it the whole time. She was experiencing the same stuff. She thought she was dying. She was super anxious, had the same feelings, and so that made me feel like I'm not alone in this, right? And that she was experiencing what I was experiencing empathetically. And then Lisa, too, was extremely supportive. And it's just like, welcome back, Cosmonaut. Right? Like, oh my God. So then we had breakfast, we talked. I had to tell Alex, like, listen, I don't know if you know this, but you're a fairy man. What is that? Well, that's like a spirit guide. You're in training. It's like the dark night of psychiatry. You know, you get this hard, tough life because you're preparing to be empathetic and understanding to other people's pain on Earth to be able to help them to move into different realms. And so fairy man would be someone who, through love, I think it's just through pure love and empathy, encourages your soul to move on to a higher plane of existence and be processed. Yeah. And I thought that was so cool. And I said, I don't know if you know this, but that's your gift. That's huge. And it is a calling to be a spirit guide. And this is your training. And so then we had the breakfast, we got to talk to people, and then we were told to go home, relax, shower, and be back for the second night of ceremony, which was crazy. And I'll tell you about that in just a bit.
Okay, so Friday, about 10:30, I was at home watching TV, and all of a sudden I just felt things got kind of fuzzy around me, and I just started looking around the room, and things just started getting dark. I'm not quite sure what order it all happened, because everything kind of happened fast. I noticed I started seeing things kind of in 3D. I was looking at the TV, and I was like, what is going on? I was looking around, and I usually keep my place just candles lit, so it's dark already, and all these dark shadows were coming in, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And I was scared. And then, I don't know how far into it, but I remember I was trying to close my eyes, because usually if I close my eyes, I see things. Well, this time I couldn't. I'd open my eyes, I'm like, oh, they're still there. They're not going away. And I didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden it dawned, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Katie. I'm seeing what Katie's seeing. And it was dark, and it was scary. I remember feeling like I was going to die. And then I just kept telling myself, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. But yeah, I didn't know what was going on at first. It took me a while.
So was this about the time that she would have been under or in the ayahuasca ceremony when this started happening?
Well, this was at 10:30, so it was, yes.
In the morning or night?
At night, sorry,
Okay.
excuse me, 10 p.m. And it was just, I'm trying to think what I all saw. It was just really dark, and it was just scary.
Your knees were knocking, you told me.
Oh yes, that's right.
That's what I meant like that.
Yeah, my legs were shaking and trembling, and I tried to get up to get a glass of water, and it's like my legs wouldn't work. I was like falling all over. I was like, what is going on? I got the water, and then I came back, and then I'm like, okay, I must have been at least 2 hours at this point, and I'm like, I got to get out of this living room. I need to get to my bedroom where I feel more secure. There's not as much room to see shadows. I did see an apparition, part of one, by my dining room, and I was like, oh, because I even said, I don't want to see this. I even said, like, please stop, I don't want to see this. And they didn't care. They just kept coming. And it was like a white lacy dress. I didn't see her face. It was like a little girl. I just saw the white dress, and I didn't see any feet. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to see this. I just did not want to. So I did go to my room, and that's when I noticed my legs were really trembling, and I thought, what is going on with my legs? And a few times I kept jumping on the group chat to say something, like, no, they'll probably think I'm crazy. I don't know why I was thinking they'd think I was crazy. At this point it was after 2 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden, like, I gotta say something. So I started to type in there, because I just couldn't figure out why my legs wouldn't stop trembling. And that's when Katie started to type. I was like, oh my God, thank you. And then as soon as Katie started typing experience what was going on, then I just told her, oh my God, this is what I'm seeing. And we were seeing similar things. It was just dark and just dark shadows everywhere, and it was scary, but I just kept telling myself, you'll be okay.
Did you see faces? Intuitively, did you feel like they were saying anything to you, or?
I remember hearing a lot of voices, but I couldn't distinguish what they were saying, because I was really trying to fight to block this, because I didn't know what was going on. It took me a while to figure out.
It's almost like you were experiencing being on the ayahuasca, even though you weren't experiencing it at that moment, like experiencing it for Katie.
Yeah.
Like a remote empathic view.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was scary, but once.
So who do you think of that little girl in the white dress? You think that was Mary?
Well, I thought it was Mary because actually earlier, I don't do it very often, but I decided to do a little recording. And I asked a few questions. And I asked Mary, hey, Mary, are you still here with me? So I'm thinking that possibly was Mary.
That popped in my head when you said
So
that.
is this Mary, so other people know who Mary is?
Mary's a little girl that my grandma first noticed her with me when she was dying. She was, yes, days away from passing. And then I worked at another place, it's gonna help me out. That part-time job I had.
Well,
I can't think of what it
that's
was.
okay.
Okay, so there was a lady that I really, really thought was sweet. We used to have good conversations, and she also was ready to pass. And she also asked me, who is this little girl with me? I'm like, okay, this is 2 people who said this, I'm like, okay. And then we kind of put it together. Shannon and I talked about it, and then one day I caught the clip. I was in my room, and I was opening up a closet door, and we heard something like, where's Mary? Or something about Mary.
And you caught that on your
My cameras. I have.
cameras, okay.
It was clear as day.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
It was a good one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next day when I knew she was going to do it again, I was like, oh gosh, I can't do this again. I don't want to go through that again. So I was pretty worried. But the only thing I felt was I had a little anxiety, but it probably just was because I was worried that something was going to happen. But I didn't, so luckily I was able to cut off whatever Friday. I don't know what happened. I was really tired Friday, so maybe that's why I just let it all come in.
So when she was under the second night, did you experience anything? Both nights or just one
Just the
night?
first night. The second night I had a little anxiety, and I had a couple people, everyone checked up on me to make sure I was okay, which was really nice and appreciated. But yeah, there was a few things that popped up I wrote down. I don't remember, but no, nothing like Friday. So
Okay.
So kind of to reiterate about night 1, I think why I needed to be grounded by that volunteer woman. I kept lifting my tea candle to be grounded by her because the seeing of the kind of non-human demonic, it was weird. Wraith came to mind.
Describe the rap.
So yeah, usually I wouldn't call non-human spirits or spirits of rage. And that was the terminology that I kept referring them to. You had human spirits there that just looked like humans, kind of walking around, sort of like the living dead, right? And then would get excited again by Stephen coming around doing chanting or singing or whatever he was doing. He kind of upset them. But the wraiths were like, they were in, I would say like rags, but it was more like energy kind of like hanging on them like rags, okay? And they had like an ever-changing morphing face, and it was just not a nice face, okay? It was just like masks of dark emotions, rage, pain, fear, but really exaggerated, of like this kind of almost dripping, morphing face. And I think what they were doing, they were feeding off of people's pain, rage, darkness. They were feeding off of people's darkness. They were feeders, and I think that's why I was like, they're wraith. They're not elementals. Because I've met elementals, and elementals can be like bludgeonies, fairies, elves, spirit or sprites, water elementals, all ranges of things. And then you have your demonic, and then you have your interdimensional, non-human, can be EVEs, right, or aliens. And but this was like, its sole purpose was to just essentially like connect and feed. And I've seen this before. One time I saw it. I gave a man $1, and he was a drug addict. He had, the sign, any money will help, and I gave him $1, and next to him was this creature. And he looked like he had an umbilicus from him to the man, and he was siphoning the darkness, the pain, the addiction, and he was just feeding off of this, right? And so, so this would be the second time in my life, but then I put a name to it, and I was like, that's a wraith.
Now, do you think this thing was attached to you?
No, it was just in the room.
Okay.
Like feeding off of everyone
Right.
else's
Going
crap.
through what they were going through.
Yeah, okay.
And so
This is the stuff that's dangerous. This is stuff that
Th-
causes
this is the
depression,
right, this is the stuff that the shaman
suicide.
is trained, Stephen is trained to make sure that they don't attach and to chase them. He was chasing them away, and that was, but it filled me with a lot of anxiety. My legs too were really shaky. I was very upset by this. Also understanding that most people just don't know this is happening. And so
So was it like absorbing everybody, like taking it in and feeding?
they were trying to attach to feed off
Attach-
of fears
okay.
and
They can
pain,
drive you to suicide.
anguish.
They're
Okay.
the ones that drive
But
you
I
to
just
suicide.
thought it showed up to take it, but also at the same time it wants to continue to stay with, is what you're saying.
Well, that's like their right.
Like
That's
soul
how they.
collectors.
Yeah.
That's how they sustain themselves.
Okay, okay.
Yep, they
They're
feed.
doing their nature,
Yep.
right? It's important for you to do your nature of light, love, and inner connection and outer connection, and right. So, they were there to do what they do, and Stephen was there to make sure that people weren't affected by these beings.
And this is why it's so important to get your mind right.
That's right. And thank you, Shannon, because honestly, like, I understood in that moment, oh, this is why you stick to the diet. Because you have to, your body is this energetic container, right? And so you have to make sure you cleanse in the proper ways. And then when you get there, the shaman is wholly responsible for ensuring you don't walk away with some really dark attachment. And so, And so then I went home, and after, we ate and talked, we shared our stories, and everyone had their personal experiences, and it was very profound. And I was so nervous. I was also filled with like a lot of wonderment, and I realized that not only is the energy of love in heaven, but curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Even darker things. That is one thing both dark and light share on all sides, and the hugest amount is curiosity. I've been visited by a lot of demonic things in my lifetime, and one thing they've always had was curiosity. And light beings, curiosity. Humans, curiosity. It's just like this driving force of creation, right? So I thought that was cool. And so I was curious. I had to come back and experience the second night of ayahuasca. And so I really kind of quieted myself all day. And I was so nervous. I can't explain it. I was just like to the point of like so freaked out. That when I got there and showed back up, I was like pacing like I would and doing Lamaze breathing, like I was about to give birth. And that's what it felt like. It felt like I was about to give birth. And so I needed to prepare. And we sat on our mats. We were given a pretty chewy cup of ayahuasca. Or I'm kind of skipping stuff. Let me go back. So they still did the snuff up the nose. But now they said in addition to the second returners, you have to do like these eye drops. I forget the name. It's like Sanang. Let me look it up. Hold on. It's supposed to help with a slew of eye problems, including glaucoma. But energetically, it's supposed to help you have clearer visions on the ayahuasca. And so, of course, you have to do it because it prepares you. It's an initiation into the ayahuasca. And Sananga, called Sananga. And yeah, I mean it. I said, kind of, how bad is this gonna burn? It's gonna hurt.
Don't lie to me.
It's gonna hurt. Okay, and I was like, okay.
For how long?
It dissipates in like, starts to dissipate in like minutes. Okay, so lay back, hold your eyes open, and they went and he did it fast, right? Now the Christopher, the third shaman, did this, and it hurt so bad that I kind of got woozy for a second, and then thought I might throw up. It hurt that bad. It felt like thousands of shards of glass had been poured in my eyes, and like a big baby, I was like, screaming.
Is it like when you get shampoo in your eyes that
Oh,
Is that safe?
way worse. Way worse. Okay? It is. Yeah, it is.
worse than an eyelash?
Way worse
Oh,
than an
yeah.
eyelash.
Sounds like it.
It brought me back to a memory of my son Ezra, who has had 3 eye surgeries. And every time, as a little kid, he was so strong, and I asked him, what does it feel like after your eye surgery? And he said, it feels like 1,000 shards of glass had been put in my eye. And he was so strong and so grounded, and, he just didn't fight the pain, he worked with it. And I started crying thinking how strong he was to have gone through that as a little child. And I remember, like, one time when he was a kid, we were walking through the forest, and I picked up an old log filled with a beehive, and bees stung me all over and got him a couple times. And I was like crying, and he goes, "You're such a baby." And then I'm here, I'm like, ah, you know, I'm like, ah, with this shit in my eyes, ah, you know. And I'm thinking of Ezra and the eye surgeries, and now I'm bawling because I'm having this emotional memory of being his mom during this like really hard time. And then I start hysterically laughing because the next memory was the bee memory, and him telling me I'm a baby, and I was like, that's right, I am a baby, and I do like people kind of consoling me through things in life that are painful, like the woman who had to keep holding my hands as I was seeing these rapes, and just understanding that that's okay. It was like a full acceptance that I am and can be a big baby, and I need people to console me through things and just like forgive myself for that, like know that about me and just be okay with that part of myself, that I might at times need people to kind of hold my hand through things in life, and that I don't always need to be strong, that I can ask people for help and be okay with it. That's not a failure, that's just who I am, and to accept it and love myself despite, this negative talk. And so I kind of felt like that set me up for the night. Like, you know what I mean? The intention of what Ayahuasca was about to have me go through was being set in that moment. And it was going to have me deal with that kind of part of myself. And I kind of forgot to say, the first and second night, we always are told to set an intention with the medicine, which is really important. My first night, my intention was bliss. And that's exactly what I experienced when I went to heaven, was just pure bliss. And so I was gifted that experience. Another man had said that he wanted to experience what it was like to feel that freedom of being a child, and he laughed so hysterically for so long, and it was so nice, because it was when I was going through the darker part of seeing these wraiths, and his laughter was so uplifting and so beautiful. And so because he set that intention, he had that experience, and because I set my intention of bliss, I had the heaven experience. And so my intention for the second night was to be consoled. And so we did the prayers and all of that. We drank the medicine, and it kicked on really fast. Second night, it came on really fast. Like, I talked to my neighbor the next day, who was there for a second night. I was like, I don't know about you, but it felt like it was like so fast. 10 minutes maybe. And he said, a bird.
Two of them, robin.
Okay.
I've been
Okay.
watching this robin
Jeez, me too.
go all over the place.
Alright.
They're fighting over the food.
There's like the attack to the right here, right?
Did you get that on video?
We got something.
Shit, I was just gonna ask you something.
Okay, so you're asking your neighbor,
Yeah.
and
The next day.
The next day.
I was like, hey, did it come on really fast for you? And yeah, it came on really fast, like minutes it felt like. And he said something along the lines of, I heard it does build up in your body. So maybe that was it, but really it just felt like, yeah, it came on really fast. And I went into a state of almost, it's hard to describe, but not being fully consciously here, but being in the realm of 0 point energy in Tesla's electrical universe. And I could see how energy was in just this, space that looks empty. But there's like all this energy in there that's accessible. We just don't know yet how to entirely deal with it. And also, how energy is constantly interacting with our energy and all living things, which was fascinating to me. And it was a bit much, but I was starting to see people's gifts, the other attendants there. For example, there was one girl who was doing these yogi positions. She looked kind of like she had like all these arms, and well, anyway, she was doing this, and she was drawing down the cosmos, the energy of the cosmos, and she was drawing it, taking it in, and then slinging it across the room, and how it interacted with empty space and then people. And I was like, oh my God, that is so gifted. That is so beautiful. Do you know what you're doing? And nobody responded. I don't even think she knew I was talking to her. But I just watched it and was blown away by it. And I did talk to her in the morning in the kitchen, and she had said she had gotten an illness a couple years ago and then trained as a yogi. And her business name, because she's in astrology too, her business name has the name Cosmos in it. And I said, you're literally doing that. You're literally drawing down energies from space, galaxies, dying suns, young suns. You're drawing down this energy of the cosmos, taking it in and then spreading it. I saw you do that. And then I even tried to mimic her. Okay, so imagine I'm sitting up and I'm like so incredibly like blown away, okay, watching her do this. So I'm like, maybe I can do it. So I'm like this, like this, and I'm like, I'm not getting cosmos coming down. And I'm like, well, maybe I have to try and like pick it and sling it. And I keep trying and nothing's happening. And then I'm like, oh, just lay back down. That's not your gift. That's not your gift. That's her gift. Everyone has unique gifts given by God. This was the voice telling me, right? And everyone is so special, loved by God, and this gift, they might not know they have it, but they have it. It's like a little piece of God in them, and that was her gift. And I felt so honored that I was being shown what people's gifts were. The guy next to me, I was shown that he was a mountain comprised of crystals and rock and life, and he held this life on him, and he grounded people. He was a grounder. That was his gift that God had given him, was to ground people out. And so I told him that that's what I saw, that I was being shown that was his gift. And both the people that I told their gifts about were very moved. Because it's weird, it's like they knew this about themselves, but they couldn't surrender and fully accept it. And I felt really happy. And then, so I'm kind of skipping around because time's like that, by the way. Time on ayahuasca tends to do a bunch of stuff. Past, present, future, all kind of like, right? And sometimes time just stops. And then just stops. And at one point it got so overwhelming watching people, their energies interact with the energies around us and above and below and within, that I just was like this and wildly shuffled very quickly. And the shaman that was volunteering that night, his name was Charlie, kind of like, sees me just quickly crossing the room like someone with a, and in my mind, I'm like, I got to get away from all this energy. Okay, I got to go to the quiet room.
That would be me.
Okay, there's this room called the quiet room. where they take people who are, need quiet because they're having a tough time. And at this point, I'm like, man, this is so hard. I don't know why I was saying that, why it's so hard. I think it was such a profound experience. It was overwhelming. Overwhelming would have been a better word. It just kept coming out. It's so hard. It's so hard. So I went there. I thought I was there for 5-6 hours in the quiet room. Charlie later told me in the morning I was there only 10 minutes. While I was there, I looked at Charlie, who had a drum. He just sat there drumming very pleasantly. And all I'm seeing is energy. I mean, energy, and you can barely make out the human being Charlie. But what I did notice in Charlie was he was slightly astrally out of body to the left of him. It was very odd. And I was like, make mental note, tell this guy in the morning that he is astrally slightly out of body. So then I tried to make myself throw up. I did not have any purging. And I kept hearing Grandmother Ayahuasca say, because you hold on to so much, you're holding on to me. And this is a lesson. I was like, oh no! Right? I'm going to be in this state for like ever now. Right? Because my body won't get rid of it. And so I'm seeing all this like energy, and I look up and I think it is so cool that they have a room you can go to that you can see the stars and there's no roof. And I was seeing northern lights. I was seeing constellations, the Milky Way. I went into the Milky Way. Orion. I mean, it was like, wow, right? And then Charlie said, 10 minutes pass, and suddenly I'm like, jump up really fast and determined. And I'm like, I'm ready to go back. And I mean, so fast, back to my damn mat. And then I started doing inner work. And that was hard.
Give us an example.
I ate my grandmother's digitalis when I was 2, and they pumped my stomach and I died, and she wanted me to deal with that on the first night. The medicine wanted me to go into that, and I said, I can't.
And you and I just talked about this.
Right. I said, my mind will fracture. And so much I felt I had lost when that happened, because that's when I entered into what society would call me as a weirdo. That's when I started talking to spirits, aliens, you name it, human, non-human. Got sent away because of it as a little girl. Got interested in magic and mysticism way too young, and really suffered the consequences of that. And so she wanted me to go through that trauma. And I
knew this would come up for you.
God, you did? Mm-hmm. You knew this would come up for me.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I said, I can't handle it. And she said, okay. She said, okay, but we need to come back to it when you're ready. So the second night, towards the end of the night, was dealing with prepping me to start to deal with that. So I didn't have to deal with it the second night, but I needed to start prepping myself to deal with it. Meaning, she was telling me my gift was that I see the gift in other people, and that I love. So I have such a loving heart with people. And that's enough. That's enough. You're enough. And yeah, it was. Yeah, I know. And
That's beautiful.
I cried for, felt like 10 hours, but it was probably 10 minutes. I don't know. There's no time on this medicine. Yeah, it was incredible. Now the next morning I told Charlie, I said, hey, your astral body is how, and he said he's been told that before by shamans, and they call him a world straddler. And I said, well, like literally you are. I kept saying literally, like literally this is it. This is your gift. This is you. So he was like, you know, he's like such a cool guy. He's like, thank you. You know, and that's really cool. Thank you. You know, it's a good verification that, yeah, you actually are a world straddler. That girl, you actually are drawing down the heavens and cosmos and spreading it on Earth. Alex, you actually are training to be a spirit guide. And this is, you know, allowing you to do this through the training with Grandmother Ayahuasca. And so all these people that are gifted these wonderful things by source, you know, it's really happening, and it's such a beautiful thing. And the love that I felt for everyone there, my mountain, the mountain next to me, the man that was laying next to me, he was so wonderful. And anytime I just felt like I could always go and reach out energetically and ground out in him. When things got to be too much, I would just do that. I would just like focus on him. And when I told him I was doing that, he said, I know. Oh, that's cool. It was like, I was like, oh God, thank you. And he reminded me so much of my son Ezra, who is a mountain of grounded, just, you know, and it was like, oh, thank you for being there. And I don't think that's a coincidence. That I'm just got chills. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence that he chose to set up his mat bed next to me.
Absolutely.
Because he is so familiar in his energy that it's like Ezra. And if I could think of one person that I would want to be there for me going through this, would be my son Ezra, because he's so grounded. And so is this wonderful man. And so I would definitely do Grandmother Ayahuasca again. I felt like this was just the tip of an iceberg. And I think if I were to tell anybody that this is medicine, they say ayahuasca is like doing 10 years of psychotherapy in a couple nights, and they're right. I mean, you are working on levels of both spiritual, psychological, I mean, it's very, and your body too, physical. And it's not for the faint of heart. So if you do it, you need to really prepare yourself. Because I had a hard time integrating. A very, very hard time integrating. Integration is when you're done with the medicine and you try to integrate the teachings in real life. And I
Where it becomes like the Matrix.
right, had a terrible, terrible time.
What did you take away from this experience?
Well, first off, I felt I kind of like nothing here really matters, but that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. Everything here matters. That was the next lesson that I was like, that the medicine keeps talking to you and calling to you.
Mm-hmm.
Myself was like, what is this? None of this matters. You have this tiny little amount of time here on Earth, and then you get to choose your astral plane based on how you vibrate. Right? So what does it really matter? Well, this matters so much for what plane of existence you're going to go into, because it's the school of hard knocks. This is the trauma unit.
Yep.
This is the you're bleeding, gushing. You know,
This is why you gotta heal what you gotta heal
Right.
now on this earth,
right,
so you don't have to do this again.
right. And I mean, we are so distracted.
Yep.
By so much, so that we don't have to deal with the fact that this plane of existence is a fucking trauma unit.
Yeah.
It is just like, you know, and you're here such a short time in this craziness to work on some really hard shit.
Yeah.
And
this is the stuff that, I'm sorry, but professionals cannot touch.
no, and the thing is, like, you can choose to ignore it and distract yourself, you know, as much as you want, or you can face head on deal with the fact that you chose to be here. You chose to be in this like trauma unit, and you don't need to make it so hard on each other and yourself. You can be more loving, more open, more accepting, listen better. Like, listen with your heart, not your ego. Not where you want the conversation to go, but where the other person needs it to go. Does that make sense? Like, needs to be connected in that deep space, that deep energetic space. And it's the hardest thing, and that's why I kept saying it's so hard. It's so hard. All night, it's so hard. We make it so hard. And someone said that I had yelled out towards the end of the night, we make it so hard on each other. Why do we do this? Why do we make it so hard on each other and ourselves? We need to love each other. We need to love each other. And so then that lesson started coming in, and a lot of the second night was learning how to sit with myself, being uncomfortable, and not needing someone to constantly come and console me. So I did not have anybody come and console me the second night.
How was that for you?
I had to learn to console myself and sit with my uncomfortableness. And that was profound, because that is death. When you die, it's a journey. You can have people on the outside, but when you start to go, actually, you fully realize you're on your own. Where you're going, you are on your own. Now, you may join up with the infinite everything in love, right? If you go to a higher vibratory place. The darker shadow astral realms, those are the realms of where you are utterly alone. You're on your own. So I think it's important for people to understand that do your work on earth, vibrate at a level that's going to take you to a place where you can join the collective and be happy and filled with love. And that's what it's about.
It really is.
Thank you, Grandmother Ayahuasca. Awesome.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
So I wanted to ask the spirits about ayahuasca. It's safe. Okay. I've been so worried. Okay, so what can I expect this weekend with the ayahuasca? Angels. One will be with angels. Okay. Got my little Jesus statue. I'm going to bring a little bonsai tree to ground out in because we're going to be inside. I'm so nervous. I'm doing this by myself with a group of people I don't know. Spirits, besides angels, what else can I expect tonight? Powerful. Judgment? Okay. What do you mean by judgment? I heard you mention my sister. What about the bear spirit? My spirit animal, the bear. I have a EMF detector right here if you want to work it. I'm going to sit down. Secrets. You said that this was a very powerful spirit in the plant. Can you explain, when you talked about our body as a crystal, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by the body as a crystal? It holds power. Do you have anything else you want to tell me? I'm kind of hoping, like, I get to see my little grandson Silas. Anything else you'd like to tell me? In love with who? Who am I going to be in love with? Who am I in love with? Oh, my grandson? Little Silas? I already am. I love that little bug. Hi. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys start counting for me. Okay. Okay, so I did get some messages coming through. I'm going to listen back. All right, here we go. I'm tomorrow night, which is Friday night, and then Saturday night I am doing the ayahuasca brew, and I've been preparing for this for a couple weeks now, and already I've talked to the spirits and they've said a few things. Number one, they told me it was very expensive, and they kind of laughed at me about how expensive it was. They also said that my body's a crystal and I needed to cleanse it. They said, be careful, it's opening portals. So to kind of be careful of what other people bring with them, but also what I bring and could affect other people. So I don't know, I was kind of thinking like maybe I should salt myself, a circle around me. But then I thought, no, I should just surrender to it. And isn't that the shaman, isn't that the guide's like thing that they should, be experienced enough to protect me from those things and protect other people? And then I thought, and then the other thing that they said was ayahuasca itself is a great spirit. And I kind of thought what they meant by that was like, all plants have spirit, but this was like different. This was like, a pretty big deal as far as spirit wise, like an earth spirit. So I'm kind of just pretty nervous. Like today was weird. I got really anxious. I started crying. I thought, oh my God, because it's indoors, I'm not going to feel grounded, and I really need to be around something to ground myself out. And I don't think they'll let us out to be outside to ground out. And I really because I'm gifted, I need to ground out more than most people. And so that freaked me out. And then I thought, I'll just bring in a little bonsai tree. Tomorrow, I'll go buy a little bonsai tree and I'll bring it in with me. And then when I need to ground out, I'm going to ground out in that tree. And then I'm also I'm going to bring I'm pulling it out of my bra right now, but I'm going to bring my little Jesus statue. I'm going to bring Jesus with me. And then I'm going to bring my crystal geoid to put on my forehead so that when I'm feeling physically uncomfortable, I can actually channel that and totally focus on this kind of sharp geoid crystal that's going to be placed on my forehead. So I do have a game plan of what I'm going to do and the things, because I feel like people don't understand when you're really gifted, you tend to be worried about not being consoled enough, right? Because you do see stuff, you do experience things on a regular basis. So I guess, okay, what I mean is people are going to go into this and they're going to see spirits and they're going to have all this crazy shit happen to them. And for me, that happens a lot in my life. And I'm not on drugs. I'm not on medicines or shaman journeys. This is just 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in my living room and I suddenly started seeing the multiverse. And I mean, it blew my mind. And I'm just sitting in my living room. And then so I have to sit there for hours because I'm getting messages and downloads about the multiverse. And then trying to explain that to other people, the visions that I have, the downloads, and then spirits trying to talk to me and me trying to record what they're saying about the things that I'm being shown. It's insane. And now I'm going to go take ayahuasca on top of that when this is, kind of a regular occurrence for me. And so, how do you talk to the shamans there to let them know, listen, I often don't inhabit this 3D. I'm inhabiting all the other realms that are also, within, outside of, in, out of this realm. A lot. Not all the time, but a lot. Enough to have it affect your simple things that other people just do. And for you, it just seems like overwhelming, or you don't have enough time because you're sitting there and you're experiencing all this other stuff that's around everyone, but they just they can't seem to access it normally. They have to take ayahuasca to be able to, or whatever, or go into deep meditation, or, right? And for whatever reason, and I don't know what that reason is, but for whatever reason, even as a young child, I have had that ability to go and visit these places. And I don't know, I was so freaked out today. It really scared me. I was just scared and freaked out, you know, so, and I thought, like, who do I know that I can really bare my soul to, and they'll understand me, and I feel love from them. And honestly, like, you know, my daughter Svetlana, I really felt like she, you know, would be very supportive. So I called her and talked to her about it, and she was very supportive. So I'm about to do the ceremony, and I'm at the temple right now, and I'm just trying to center myself. I'm doing everything the spirits tell me, and I am nervous. It's really pretty in this temple, and this is the quiet room. And here I am. I'm gonna sit here and feel the energy of this whole building. This is where I talked to Ethel Lombardi and was taught Reiki. She was an amazing Reiki master. I was so young. I was like 20 years old at the time. And I didn't understand the significance of what Ethel Lombardi was teaching me because I was so young. I knew it was profound, but I didn't fully understand it. And again, that takes wisdom. That takes years of, you know, experiencing life to fully grasp what the lesson is. It's kind of cool to think, like, there's going to be just a plethora of different beings that will visit me. Not only human spirits, but also non-human spirits that will share their wisdom and guide me. There's a lot of spirits in this building, by the way. I can feel them constantly around me. So, and I'm hearing them. So I don't know if people are picking up on that, but there is stuff here. There's a lot of spirits here. So if any spirits want to come talk with me, come by me right now. I am standing right here, and hopefully I will get you guys in the frame. I'm very excited for tonight again. I love that analogy in the Bible about knocking and things will be answered, but I know that in the spirit world, if you want answers, you have to find the right things to ask. Because wisdom is different than intelligence. Wisdom takes growth and time, and it's kind of that dark night of, you know, psychiatry, right? Like you can only really fully understand things because you've been through them. And oftentimes, growing spiritually is a very painful process. And also, being the Lamb of God, you know, that is to do away with your ego. And learning, right, takes a lot of listening and assuming that you don't always have the answers to things. Okay, so I want to talk about my experiences, and this is going to be like a long video to make because it was so profound that I feel like shit, number one. I mean, I feel like I've run a marathon across the Sahara Desert. It is the next day, so I took it Friday and Saturday night, and it's now Monday. And it's really hard for people, I realize, that do ayahuasca. They have an easy time, I feel, sharing with their group that went through it with them, but trying to share it to people who have not done it yet or weren't with you is really difficult to talk about. It feels like I'm trying to sell you on something, and I'm trying to deliver it in a package of ego to you through my experience. And for me, that is not what ayahuasca is about. It's about the personal soul journey, but also as you personally journey through this realm with ayahuasca, you understand that you are so hyperly connected to everything and everyone around you. So it's tough trying to explain, like, because it's such a personal journey. I drank my first cup and I started feeling, seeing some fractals and feeling really happy and excited. And so then the shaman, he asked, if anyone wanted a second cup, and asked, when you went up there, you had to walk up to the altar, get the second cup, talk to him. He asked how much do you think you want? And I said, give me a heroic dose. I pretty much was chewing that cup of ayahuasca, not drinking it. And maybe that was just my perception, I don't know, but it felt like a lot. I went back to my mat, I waited a bit, the fractals became more intense, and then I was like, oh shit. And then I just went like that, collapsed on my mat. But I saw this shaman coming towards me, beelining it towards me. And he kneels down, and I grab a hold of him, his robe or his blanket that he had. And I was like, don't, oh my God, I think I'm dying. And he laid his hand on my chest, and I went into this heaven realm, and I was like a boat. And the shaman was like a tower, a beam of light for as far as the eye can see. And he was communicating with me telepathically. And my spirit guide said about him, this is your younger angel. He's in training here on earth. And he's like a ferryman. He's training to be a spirit guide, a ferryman, a guy who shows up in the afterlife when you die and take you to heaven. And I was like, oh my God, okay. I remember to tell this guy, right? Because he doesn't know this. His name was Alex. And anyway, go to heaven, and it's just color and love and light and beings and everything that is sound, and it has a sound. And it's so infinite and orgasmically whole that and I was like, this is God. This is the light and love of source of God. This is heaven. It's not a place, it's a state of consciousness. And then the shaman, young angel, spirit guide, ferryman guy, right, who's a living person but doesn't know he's an angel in training, says to me telepathically, you can't stay here too long. And I was like, I know this. And I thought of my family, not think of them like in faces, but I felt them like I needed to come back to be there for them. And so right as the shaman was lifting his hand off my heart chakra, he drew me back and I went down a tunnel very quickly and I came back alive. I mean, I was like I was born, and the breath I took was like I hadn't been breathing, and I sat up on my mat and I was like, I just went, thank you. I don't know if I said it or I don't know, but he went like that, just most loving, like his eyes, just love, right? And then I sat there, and that's when I entered the earth realm of the shadow realm, and I saw dark demons and spirits, and it was dark and miserable and cold, and I heard this is the earthbound place. This is where people go if they can't let go of these earthbound things and go to heaven. They come here. If they can't shift their vibration and consciousness, they stay in this shadow realm. And I was seeing the demons and the ghosts in the shadow realm, and and I wasn't even scared. I was, consoled by the fact that we have a choice. And every moment of our life, we're being given the decision. Do we want to be vessels of love and light and of God, or do we want to hang on to the ego and greed and the scarcity thing and separation from creation? And it was our choice. It was our choice. So I stayed in that state for a very long time. I didn't throw up. I did not purge. I wanted to. Everyone else was. And I did have diarrhea really bad that night. But I didn't throw up. And I heard Ayahuasca saying to me, this is because you don't let go of things that hurt you. You're going to hang on to it. So at some point, I had to do, the second day, and it's weird. It's kind of like I don't want to talk about it, but I know I need to. The second day of doing ayahuasca, I saw how energy connected and people's gifts more clearly. And I saw the energetic universe in 0 point energy, how energy exists in space. And it was amazing. I kind of thought that there was no ceiling in the quiet room because I could see the northern lights and the stars. And one of the shaman helper, his name was Charlie, I kept seeing him slightly to the left and out of body, and I realized he might not know that, and I was hoping people have told him he's slightly kind of world straddling out of body. And I said, remember to tell him in the morning, you must tell him. And I felt like he was probably gifted with plants and stuff like that, and I don't know. Anyway, I got up off my mat. I was seeing energy in 0 point energy. I was seeing the connection and how everything related to one another, each individual laying on their mat, how they related to the space around them and the energy and the matrix of energy. And it was fascinating. But then suddenly I had to get away from everyone. I needed to get away from their energy because it was overwhelming me. So I got off and sprinted to the quiet room, and Charlie followed me there and asked if he wanted him to stay, and I said yes, I did want him to stay. And I thought it was so cool that they had this room where it didn't have a ceiling and you could see the stars and the northern lights and constellations. And then I tried to throw up, nothing came out. I then laid on my mat. I was traveling, but it wasn't heaven like the first night. It was different planes that were cool, but it wasn't heaven. Then I was like, okay, I'm done. And I jumped up as quick as I jumped up off my mat the first time, and I pretty much shuffled quickly back to my mat. And I watched this girl who was drawing down the cosmos and tossing constellations across the room. And in the morning, I was like, I've got to tell her this, that she's got this gift to be able to draw down from the heavens the energies of the constellations and spread them into people in Earth, okay? Because I literally witnessed her doing that. And so I found her in the morning in the kitchen, and she actually told me she had a business, and she was a yogi master who was able to, draw those energies down, and her business name was Cosmos something. She said the name Cosmos in there, and I said, well, you're literally doing that. And I also told Charlie that he was slightly out of body, and he said he's been told that by shamans, that he's a world straddler. So I was literally seeing people's gifts. Now, that night when I was on ayahuasca and I was seeing all these gifts, I really felt like I was nothing unique or special. And I felt so sad, and it was so hard. In fact, I kept saying that, and even in the quiet room, it's so hard. I just felt like I don't fit in, and I went through an ego death. And then this voice told me I was beautiful, and that not only do we make it hard on each other, and it's needless, but we make it hard on ourselves, which is so needless. And then in the morning, someone said that I was saying that loudly. We have to love each other better. We need to quit being so hard on each other and ourselves. It's not necessary. It's the negative of personal growth and the evolution of the human species. It is not necessary. We need to be better to each other. We need to love each other. We need to open up. We need to quit putting up so many walls. And I'm not very money oriented. I'm not good at doing very simple things to fit into civilization and organizing things. Half the time I don't comb my hair. I talk to spirits all day long. I'm doing psychic readings, even to my, even around me to spirits, so whatever, and it's a lot. Because I should be living out in the woods with a crow on my head as the community sage, but I'm in a city having to make money and pay bills, and it's very hard for me. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. And, I don't get paid talking to spirits or moving them on. I don't get paid generally, getting demonic energies away from people. Usually that's free. And I don't get paid for being different or weird. I mean, my healing stuff, you know, I get donations for that, but, you know, sorry, my thumb. But that's hard. And because I'm expected to, you know, fit into, you know, civilization. And so when I got back from ayahuasca, I had a really hard time integrating. Like, how do I fit in? I talked to my little bonsai trees. I talked to the spirits. And they told me, "You're so unique, Kathryn Quella." And it was like, they also told me to, like, just get through that bullshit, you know? Quit standing in my own way. Quit focusing on the fact that I don't fit in. You know, just be like the current of a river and let yourself flow. And that was really cool that they said that to me. That was really, really cool. It's very clear. They came through. They said, "You're so unique, Kathryn Quella." And that is such a gift to me that they said that. They also kind of told me, sort of like, yeah, no kidding, it's this shamanistic medicine that's very powerful. It's very hard. It's not fun. It's not fun. And for those people who had like only the heaven moments on like Jaguar, Bufo, or ayahuasca, then I would say to them, well, you know, if you ever do it again, you probably will have a shadow side to it where you'll have to deal with your shadow self. And that's going to be very hard. And you're going to need to talk to people. And there's going to need to be people available for you to connect with on a very, very deep level. If you can't hear your spirit guides, then you need to hear a human being telling you this, that you are unique as well, and you are loved. You're a part of God, and God is a part of you. And you're not alone, although I know it feels like you are. You're so very muchly loved, and it's difficult because you can only feel truly loved when you love yourself. And for a lot of people, that might be the hardest part to understand. And so, for people who are having trouble with integration, I would say to them that that is absolutely normal. And, you know, make sure that you have a really good support system going into doing these very powerful shamanistic medicines, okay? Because being able to apply these to your normal life it takes someone who has the ability to navigate you through these tough thoughts and feelings. And so that's all I've got to say. I mean, there's a lot more that I went through, and you know, maybe when I remember stuff, you know, I'll make sure to add those things. But you know, I have to say, ayahuasca is such a personal experience on these astral planes. You know, all the, you know, entities and things, whatever happens for you. It's so personal. It's very hard to talk about it. it's like, unless you're really close to the people that you're talking to, it's just kind of hard to talk about. And, words, everyone wants to be able to express themselves in almost serving it up on a platter that looks good to people, right? It's a delivery system that's precise in ways and appetizing, and for people to ingest the information. And and right now it just looks to me like it's just a bunch of word soup that, unless you've experienced this yourself, you wouldn't be able to ingest it properly, and nourish your soul with it. It's a journey, a personal journey people have to take, and to do that, you have to feel called to it. You have to open yourself up to the spirit of Grandmother Ayahuasca talking to you even before you take it. I felt her talking to me before I took it, and the weird dreams I was having. I knew what I was doing was so incredibly profound. I had heard about ayahuasca for over a decade, and it was something I always wanted to do. And I said, she will come to you when you're ready. And when she did, nothing could have stopped me. I was so ready for it. And I'm so glad I went ahead, and I'm so glad I was brave enough to come back the second night and take more. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Love you all. So I came back from the ayahuasca weekend. It was really intense, and now I'm going to talk to the spirits about that experience with the ghost box.
Text box. Scanning.
Prayers and love and light open up the portal. Come through. Combo. Personal hell. Okay. I was a bit passed out. I was safe. There was an angel there. You guys were right. It was powerful. Ayahuasca, yes, grandmother ayahuasca. I want to do it again. I saw many spirits and go higher. I saw God. I went to heaven. Yep. Is there anything that you'd like to tell me about how to integrate better into the 3D realm after my ayahuasca experience? Because I'm having a lot of trouble doing that. Self-love, I heard. What is your advice, spirits, if you can give me? Self-love again. Self-love. Mankind. And for mankind. Self-love and love for mankind. Something about my bullshit. What about my bullshit? What about my bullshit? Quit getting caught up in my bullshit. It's a party Sunday. Ayahuasca from Peru. I heard you say that. Okay, thank you, spirits. I'm gonna close the portal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so, right, okay.